Hello, my name is Keith, and this is a series of videos about healthy living. If you like these videos, I ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This video was created during the Spring into Fitness Challenge, where communities and organizations competed against each other to be deemed the most fit team. Each week, we included a video to provide health education during this challenge. This one is titled Mental Health, the Basics, and Kia Quintana is the presenter.
All right, so my name is Kia Quintana. I am the senior health educator at the Department of Health in Brevard County. And today we're going to be talking about mental health, just the basics for you, just give you an overall view of what mental health is, different signs you can look for, different resources that are available. So we'll move on. So here's my information. If you ever need to contact me, if you have any questions, feel free to use it, whether it's regarding this particular PowerPoint or if it's something else, I'm available. So we'll start with the very, very basics. We're going to be with what is mental health. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. Mental health is important at every stage in life, from childhood to adolescence through adulthood. And an important distinction that we would like to make is poor mental health and mental illness are not the same. A person can experience poor mental health and not be diagnosed with a mental illness, and vice versa. So mental illnesses like severe or major depression, post-traumatic disorder, those are mental health illnesses and they have to be diagnosed. Poor mental health can be a number of things such as high levels of stress, low levels of depression, things like that. And then another thing to note is that a person's mental health can change over time. It depends on many factors. But when the demands placed on a person exceed their resources and coping abilities, their mental health can be impacted. I think that's the difference. So, it can change from day to day. You can have a serious moment in your life that can cause mental health issues. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of the data because I think there's a myth that mental health doesn't impact as many people as it does, when in actuality, there's a lot of people that are diagnosed with mental illness or poor mental health. So more than 50% of people in the United States will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their life. 1 in 5 Americans will experience mental illness each year. 1 in 5 children, either currently or at some point during their life, have had a serious debilitating mental illness. 1 in 25 Americans lives with a serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. And maybe because we live in Florida and we're like by the beaches and everything seems nice, we have Disney around the corner, we don't consider Florida or our specific Brevard County as having high levels of poor mental health, but we have statistically higher numbers of individuals experiencing unhealthy mental days when we compare it to the state. So we do have high numbers as well. So what are the causes of poor mental health and mental health illness? It's a number of things, and it's not limited to one of these items. It can be, all couple, but they include early adverse life experiences, experiences related to ongoing medical conditions such as cancer or diabetes, biological factors or chemical imbalances, use of alcohol or drugs, having feelings of loneliness and isolation, or current life events. And then one thing I wanted to point out is, in addition, particularly if you have medical conditions, is that you should Also consider your prescriptions as having possible mental health side effects. I don't think we realize that, things such as depressions can be caused by your medicine that you're taking. So it's important to have discussions with your physicians when you're going on medications, when you're off medications, and being aware of the symptoms so that you are able to express what's going on with your physician. So here are some early warning signs, and these are very limited in terms of there's a number of other things that could be considered warning signs. It depends on the person. So things like eating or sleeping too much, pulling away from people, having low or no energy, feeling helpless or hopeless. And you're free to really read through these. But a thing that I wanted to note is that many of the signs listed here can be a sign of a number of things, could be causing these things, including things like issues with your physical health. So while these are listed, it's just important just to be aware that mental health can be causing these issues, causing these signs. And particularly if you're noticing a pattern, if you're noticing you're eating and sleeping too much for a number of days, weeks, months on end, then you would want to consider that mental health could be a possibility, and that's when you would want to talk to your physician or a medical provider. And then another important thing is to consider mental health and your physical health as a feedback loop, where one mental health problem can lead to physical health problems and vice versa. So mental and physical health are components of your overall health, just to put it out there. But poor mental health is a risk factor for chronic physical conditions. People with serious mental health conditions are at high risk of experiencing chronic physical conditions, and people with chronic physical conditions are at risk of developing poor mental health. I think a really good example is depression. So depression can increase the risk of many types of physical health problems, such as diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. But similarly, the presence of chronic conditions can increase the risk of mental illness, such as depression. So it's a feedback loop. You can't decide necessarily if one causes the other, but they're both interlinked. So what can we do to improve our mental health? The good news is that some of the things that we can do are simple and they're easy to do within our control. So things like find 5 minutes a day to de-stress, do something you enjoy weekly, and that's a personal decision that is tailored to you. You can practice mindfulness, exercise, get plenty of sleep, do daily check-ins with yourself, really sit down, whether that's through journaling, whether you're talking to a therapist, but do check-ins to see how you're feeling that day. Seek help when necessary. Talking to a therapist is really important if you so choose. Develop healthy coping abilities, and also eat a healthy diet. Those all contribute to your mental health. Now, you may be asking yourself, my mental health is great, but I know others around me that their mental health is suffering. So what can I do to help? Be a part of their support system. You can talk open topic in general, so that you can decrease that stigma around the topic. You can educate yourself, create a positive, inclusive, and supportive environment, whether that's your home, work, your friends, whatever that environment may look like. Be an example of taking good care of your mental health. Encourage and express empathy. Ask what happened instead of what's wrong when talking with a friend in need, and know when you need additional help. I mean, we have to recognize that some of these mental health issues are above what we can offer. So having somebody step in, and that can look a number of different ways, but knowing when to ask for help, even if it is for somebody else, is really important. Another thing people would want to know is, well, that's great, but I don't know where to look for either help or if I wanted to find a therapist. So here are some options. And I know in our weekly newsletter, there are also other options listed there as well. But you can call your health insurance to find a therapist. You can use a search engine to find either in-person or virtual therapists. Ask your friends and family members. Ask your physician. You can consult with your employee assistance program. You can find university and college programs. And what I mean by that is that a lot of these college or universities have a teaching hospital or a teaching clinic where they have resources available. And also utilize government agencies. And what I mean by the last one is that government agencies have a lot of resources listed on their websites, whether it's national, whether it's local. And a good example of that is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. And they specifically have a search engine for treatment services, and it goes all the way down to the local level. You can enter your zip code, you can enter your state. So there are resources available on many government agency sites, including here at the Department of Health. And I also wanted to list our local resources that are available to us. Things like 211 Brevard. They have not only mental health resources listed on their website, but they have a number of other resources that can help with reasons why your mental health is suffering. Here at the Department of Health, we have our core. So that is for treatment for those suffering for substance use disorder. And I've listed a number of other resources right here, and these are all local. It's going to be these, and then this slide as well. I won't go through them, but feel free to take a screenshot of the slides or email me and I can send you this list as well. And then I've also listed national resources. These are safe lines, crisis lines, and lifelines that are available. These aren't all of them. I'm sure there's more, but these are some good ones just to have with you if you ever need them yourself or you need them for somebody else. That's it for me. But if you have any questions at all, like I mentioned earlier, you're free to email me, and I would be happy to answer any questions regarding this specific topic and this PowerPoint, or if you have any other questions, I'll help you in any way I can. But it was a pleasure discussing this with you guys. So yeah, have a great day.